Did you know that you have made oaths, swear oaths and vows in previous lifetimes, and maybe even this one? And although some of them might seem romantic or quite interesting and nice and a bit poetic, those vows and oaths can keep you in place from a spiritual standpoint, from an emotional standpoint, from many standpoints, even abundance-wise. So, is there a way to dissolve those unwanted vows, the ones that we don't want to cling to them because they are really outdated, and those elements that we swear to people or situations or factions that we swear to are really outdated and really don't help us anymore? Let's find out. Hi, I'm Vlad from reikischool.com, and in today's video we're going to talk a little bit about how to dissolve the energy and information of vows or sacred oaths from previous lifetimes and this lifetime as well. So, vows, sacred oaths, they seem really nice. They remind you of some TV series. I'm not gonna mention names on YouTube, but we all know what we're thinking about. There are a few topics in this matter, but in reality, vows and sacred oaths, especially if we made them in past lifetimes, hundreds of years ago, or maybe thousands of years, they aren't useful now, are they? Very few of those oaths or vows could have some good impact in today's life and the way we live now. That's because we need more freedom. We need freedom from the chains of the karmic chains. We need freedom to evolve. We need freedom to be emotionally stable and available. We need freedom for mental understanding, knowledge, which has changed dramatically over the centuries, right? We need to open ourselves to new possibilities, ideas, open doorways for new opportunities in life, in generally speaking. So those kind of elements, oaths and whatever they are, and vows are promises, excessive promises. They're really not useful. And just to name a few types of oaths and vows are excessive loyalty, obedience, chastity, poverty, lack of abundance at least, loneliness, things like that, so that you can do whatever you were meant to do. If you were a monk in a previous lifetime, definitely you would need at least a part of those vows. If you were a Templar Knight, definitely you would need part of them. If you were some other faction or some spiritual leader or guru, you would definitely have a few of them. If you were doing some leadership in any way, or not leadership, or just being maybe a soldier in an army, definitely you would have a vow. If you were just living somewhere in a faraway land, perhaps you had one of those vows. So there's a chance that in previous lifetimes you had vows such as this one. And as I said, they are not useful in this lifetime. Very few could be useful. But there's also the vow for, eternal love, which is beautiful and romantic. But spirits, that vow is made for the two spirits to interact in this life and the next one and the next one and the next one. What happens when one of the spirits doesn't want to grow anymore and the other one wants to grow? What happens when one of the spirits wants to do something completely different than the other one? How are they going to relate to one another? Well, they're not, but they will meet. And what would happen is that they will keep each other in place because of a vow. And why would a vow be so strong? I'll explain in a minute. But until then, please understand that this kind of oaths and vows can render incarnation to be present between two spirits, even if they have dealt with almost all their karmic debts and they have little to nothing to share or to balance out. And there's no really so much love anymore or pleasure in being with one another after multiple lifetimes. Is just a stupid vow that you made so that you can come back and be with that person because you loved each other in one lifetime, which is beautiful that you did. But now things are different. Spirits grow, evolve and change, and things cannot remain the same in every lifetime. Before we continue, I want to drop a quick reminder for those of you struggling to remember Reiki symbols during sessions. I know how frustrating it is to feel unsure, hesitate, and even second guess yourself instead of focusing on universal life force energy flow. I used to do the same in my early days. I would stop mid-session, scraping the bottom of my mind for symbols' meaning. Of course, I would rarely find clarity in the clutter of information. That's when I started organizing everything on paper, keeping my notes close during practice. Over time, the habit evolved into the Ultimate Reiki Symbols Guide, a practical resource with the attributes and uses of 65 Reiki symbols. It's still the guide I return to when I need insights, inspiration, and the optimum Reiki symbol for a certain situation. So, if you're tired of forgetting Reiki symbols during sessions and want to integrate them in your practice step by step, grab the digital copy on Reiki Scoop or the physical book on Amazon. Now, let's return to the video. So why are they so strong? Why are vows and oaths so strong? Because usually when compared to a promise that, I'm telling you that, I'm going to be present on camera at 10 a.m. right now. That's, I'm going to promise that. If I don't make it, you're going to be upset. If I make it, I'm going to be happy that I honored the promise. Nothing will happen. But a vow and an oath is made in a different way and in front of a spiritual authority, be it physical or not. And it involves your structures, your deep structures. More exactly, it involves your inner self, your spirit, not just your soul, but your spirit. And your spirit is the element that reincarnates over the ages. And when you have a vow made at the spirit level, you will keep it with you in all incarnations and in all existences until you fulfill it or dissolve it. And through the soul is going to manifest in this life. From the inner self to the soul in the physical world is going to manifest. However, it can be tackled with. So unless you have fulfilled whatever it was that you had to fulfill, or maybe this fulfillment is never ending, which is the worst kind, probably. That's why I was mentioning the example with loving you, everlasting love for ages, like the song, which is great. I'm just saying that's very romantic and nice, but it's not a realistic, useful element. One thing is to love in one lifetime and another one over eons. Things are very different then. Spirits change, as I said, and they have different priorities, and it's going to be a pain or burden if you realize that you cannot relate to that spirit over lifetimes. Maybe you can, and that's amazing. That's an exception. I'm sure there are exceptions for that. That being said, how can you dissolve the energy and information of vows and oaths? Can it be done with Reiki? Sure. Can it be done with other practices? Probably, yeah. I don't know exactly how with other practices, but with Reiki it's relatively simple. You're going to use 3 elements. You're going to use Reiki symbols this time. You're going to use the spirit guides and guardian angel or guardian angels if you have many. And you're going to use algorithms. Now, the symbols, obviously, Chokurei, Heiki, Honsha, Shonen, Daikomyo are going to be activated in your palms, are going to be activated on your primary chakras. They're going to be activated as a gateway between you and those vows that you wish to dissolve from previous lives or this current life. And you're going to send universal energy with the intention of dissolving the energy and information of those vows. But before that, you should call upon your spirit guides and guardian angels to support you in doing exactly this. The vows that are not useful for you in this lifetime. The vows that can disrupt your evolution, your well-being on an emotional and spiritual and abundance-wise and level and all that, and spiritual evolution. As long you can ask your spirit guides and guardian angels to support, to help you dissolve those vows that do those things, that keep you in place with those elements and many other elements. Just think about them for a minute. You have plenty of time to think about what types of vows, and you will feel if there is a resonance with some of them. Obedience-wise, excessive loyalty, and so on. And the algorithms, well, that's a different thing. Algorithms, usually, it's something that you can create by yourself. And it's just a thing for, like, affirmations. Think of them as affirmations, but with a stronger output and a very clear output. In this case, for dissolving with the light that's being sent through my palms, I dissolve XYZ, the vows or oaths that are keeping me in place. I dissolve the energy and information of vows and oaths that are keeping me in place from certain perspectives, from a physical, emotional, spiritual perspective. And you can go wild with the algorithms and create your own, obviously. I present actually all this process in Bliss Premium, to be more precise. There's not too much time on YouTube to present all of the process and to stay and send universal energy, but I just wanted to say that vows are nice and they can be important, and they are important to some extent, but they can also drag you down, especially if they were made for a completely different timeline and for a completely different world and for a completely different person that you might have been centuries ago with. Needless to say, there are chances that if a vow was made towards another person, to another spirit, they also can evolve and they can, relate in this lifetime very well. And that's great. But if not, then you have a problem. So another element that I would add when wanting to dismantle and dissolve vows is lighting a beeswax candle, natural beeswax candle, preferably from a church, a temple, a holy place, whatever it was, synagogue, whatever suits you. At least one candle, with the intention of dissolving vows from previous lifetimes. And as you are sending universal energy, you have that candle next to you. This improves the capability, enhances the possibility of dissolving those vows, their energy and information that exists behind vows and oaths from previous lifetimes that keep you in place in this life. Also, incense helps. It helps with the vibration and cleansing them. You can even visualize each vow if you want. If you have many, that's what you have to perceive with your experience. And you can observe each vow and activate within each one of them Chokurei, Seiheki, Honsha Shun and Daikomyo, Zonar, Halu, Heart, Om if you're attuned to Karuna Reiki, to Shambhala Reiki, Merkaba Kalishma, and send energy to each and every vow, 5-10 minutes. Or more, it depends on the vow, how strong it was and how complex it was, and you're gonna send energy until it dissolves into pure light. If you need to repeat the process and you don't have time to stay 1 hour because maybe that's how much it takes right now, or maybe it takes 10 minutes, which is great, but maybe it takes too much time, repeat it. If you don't have time, repeat it the next second day and the third day until they are gone. You're going to notice an improvement in your life. You're going to notice a freedom in your life because vows like this, as I mentioned, will keep you in place. And they can be related to many aspects of life. So I also made a newsletter about that, my written newsletter. So think about making vows even in this life. At least limit them to this life, not to all the lifetimes or eternal please. I mean, it's really up to you. Maybe you don't want to tackle with your vows and you're happy with them, and that's fine. But vows sometimes can be a real burden, a real problematic thing for your changing and evolution when you want to become something else, a better version of yourself. So think about that when it comes to vows and oaths. With that being said, thank you so much for watching. Give a thumbs up, share and subscribe so other Reiki enthusiasts and practitioners and teachers even can find content such as this one. And thank you so much for watching until the end. Blessings to you, and I'll see you in the next video. Before you go, there's one last thing I want to share to support your Reiki journey. If you let Reiki slip into the background of your life and you're ready to bring it back, this message is for you. I know how it feels to return after a long absence and feel like you've forgotten how to connect. You go through the motions, but questions arise each time you seem to make progress. My solution was to go back to my Reiki teacher and regain my confidence and rhythm in group sessions. But when you don't have the luxury to spend time with like-minded individuals, motivation dries out. That's why I created the 21 Reiki Challenge, a free program where we practice Reiki together for 21 days. Over 2,000 Reiki enthusiasts took on the challenge to rebuild their habit and reconnect with universal life force energy. You don't have to bring Reiki back into your life all alone. Just click the link in the description below, sign up, and let's practice Reiki together. Join the 21 Reiki Challenge to return to Reiki with confidence and support.